Hey there fellow adult collectors, welcome back. David Eon here with another virtual video unboxing today, taking a look at the Mondo 1/6 scale PowerCon 2021 edition Hordak, and I have not yet opened this up. I am opening this up for the first time right now, so you will see it as I see it. And this Hordak, of course, Mondo is the only one making 6th scale Masters figures. This is the third of 3 Hordaks that were produced by Mondo. 3 so far. Box a little worse for wear. It's got a bunch of dings and dents and scratches and holes on it, but hopefully this will be alright inside as we pull this out for the first time. Go ahead, same box they always put, exterior villain box. Looking at Snake Mountain. Go ahead and open this up, open the bag up here. But this is the third of 3 Hordaks, and people were waiting a really long time for Mondo to do Hordak because they had been floating. I'll just let you take a look at that sleeve box because it is a sleeve. Floating Hordak for years at conventions, showing a prototype figure. Yeah, we're going to do this. Yeah, we're going to do this. A couple of years go by, nothing happens. And as you can see, there is a little damage on the box from taking hits. Take the sleeve off, and you can see the box art. And Mondo always does a really great job with box art, actually. Known mostly for posters and t-shirts. Mondo Tees is their website. So this one was the PowerCon exclusive. I did not go to PowerCon, but I had an opportunity to pick this up from Mondo after PowerCon, and then usually the other side is just, as you can see, a blow-up of the artwork from the other side. This one is a limited edition of 800 pieces. The Mondo exclusive in black, because this is not a black version, this is the blue Filmation version. They had the art version in black, of which there was a standard, and these are sealed with a magnet, you see right there. A standard, and there's something on there. A Mondo exclusive. The Mondo exclusive was limited to 1,000 pieces, and the regular edition, God knows how many they made. But I was kind of disappointed with it when I first saw it. I might have gotten the Mondo exclusive, and there's Hordak in there, and it's hard to tell very much from that reflection, but I will be taking this out and testing his articulation and taking a good look at the figure and the accessories so that everybody will have a chance to see exactly what this is. But the original 2 versions, and I have a bunch of Mondo 6th scale figures I've done unboxing and reviews for. Open up this flap, and of course I will put an implement in the side. Some of you probably know what to do here, but this is a good way to avoid pinch. By drawing forward from the center of a box, you put your knife or whatever you have in the center here, and just turn that edge out, and the whole thing comes out without making that pinch or split right here. That irritates a lot of people that really want to preserve that box. I totally understand. Here we go. Oh, something fell out. Because the bag, with his cape, is taped to the inside of the box, and they have not done that before. They have not taped it to the inside of the box like that before, not with Masters figures. Let me get this out of the way. I took a look at what they had to offer from that, and I wasn't happy with it. I was like, you know what? Because the Hordak projects were the most expensive figures that they had produced to date. And what I saw versus, and here's the figure, and again I will be taking this out. What they offered for $230, there was 3 price ranges, and each one went up $10. The regular edition was $230. and I'll put an image of it up. And I said for $230 being the most expensive figure they've made, considering tax and shipping and everything, is this really worth it? Maybe I'd get the Mondo edition, but the Mondo Deluxe one that you can only buy on Mondo. That, of course, is his cape, and then his stand, which just fell out of the package. And this is another ball hugger stand. I hate these, but I'll talk about that more in a minute. I felt like the Deluxe edition should have been the regular edition, and that the Deluxe edition should have had something even more, like his imp or Filmation head. And the Deluxe one was $240. And I'll go ahead and get this out and stand him up, and we'll take a close look at him as accessories, and we'll continue with the conversation. And here we are back with our 1/6 scale Hordak PowerCon 2021 Mondo exclusive figure out of the package with all of his accessories spread out on the Lazy Susan, and we'll take a close look at everything. Now, as I was saying previously, before we just cut to, this is the third in a series of 3 of Hordak figures from Mondo. And this is obviously the Filmation version. The other 2 were like an art series version. It was a black and red costume. There was no light blue or royal blue in it, like you see here. No Filmation head, and it was $230 for the original version, $240 for the Mondo exclusive, and I had felt like the Mondo exclusive should have been the regular version, and that the Mondo exclusive version should have had something even more, and that for the price, normally what you get for what you pay with Mondo, considering these were much more expensive than normal Mondo figures, the price continues to go up, quite frankly, that you should have gotten more. But I missed out on the Mondo exclusive. It sold out very quickly, like within 4 or 5 minutes at 1,000 pieces. And then this was a PowerCon exclusive, and I really did not expect to be able to get this. But then after PowerCon, they had a couple left over, and I did manage to get one from Mondo's website. And this one is a limited edition of 800 pieces. So you got less pieces, that is. But it seems like you got a lot more with this figure than you got even with the Mondo exclusive edition. And this is more like the classic Hordak that I remember. I used to watch She-Ra with my sister. She liked the show. I didn't care for the hero characters on She-Ra, but the villains I thought were hilarious. Although I have not seen She-Ra for many years, not since really the 80s. So I don't know if I would still feel the same way about it, although my wife and I have been rewatching the Filmation Masters of the Universe and still enjoy it. We still enjoy the show. So maybe She-Ra is not all that bad. I just don't remember it. Although my wife didn't like She-Ra. She liked Masters of the Universe. So she's not too keen on seeing She-Ra. But we will see what happens. But this is the Filmation Hordak again. Filmation edition Hordak. And I have most of the Mondo 6th scale Masters figures, barring some exclusives like the MOTU and the metallic editions, which I just was not able to get. But we're going to go ahead and start spinning around here and taking a look. Oh, something rolled off. At some of these accessories. This is his staff, and it came in 2 pieces, and there's a tooth in it so that you can't screw up putting that together, hopefully. And that's all there is to it. It doesn't stay in, but that's all there is to it. That's very loose, actually. That's very loose. I may even want to put a dab of glue in there just to hold it. I'll think about that because I don't like altering things. But I'll go ahead and show you the whole staff. It's got a lot of crack details in it. The accessories usually have a lot of nice details from Mondo. Part of the reason I like the line, also because of the sturdiness of the action figures. I've done a lot of 6th and 12th scale reviews, and I found a lot of them to be lacking overall in physical quality. And you can, for reference, you can see it's about just a hair taller than the figure itself. His crossbow, which they put a lot of effort into the overall design here. There are no working or moving parts, but a lot of effort did go into this design, and that is a real string. You can hear it. A real elastic string. There's an actual tongue inside the mouth. So good eye to detail, and this is a solid plastic piece. His cape, which I guess I'll back up here a little so you can see it better. No wires in the cape, unfortunately. It does have a lining and has 2 metal rings, which I guess are going to hang on something on his breastplate. Coming around here. 3 additional sets of hands. Grasping or clutching hands. And these are new hand designs. Mondo is pretty good about retooling. They like to recast and remold parts. I'm pretty sure that his standard body is the same body from every other figure, but they have made a lot of new components for this figure. If you saw the review I did of the Keldor last time, almost everything on Keldor except for the heads were completely recycled from other figures. So trigger hand and a gripping hand, and then 2 other gripping hands. And I don't know why I have 2 right gripping hands. There's a very slight difference between these 2. They are almost the same thing. This one is a little tighter of a grip than this one, but it's such a slight difference, they may as well have not even done it. The cannon hand, because you know he could transform parts of his body, and the hands and the gauntlets do come off of these figures. So you can remove the hand and take the gauntlet off. And despite the fact that this comes with the most accessories, it's still less accessories than any of the other figures that I've gotten so far from Mondo. And the imp, who looks like he's jointed, but nothing moves. He really does. He looks like he's jointed. You see that? You can see like a split at his neck and at the arm, but nothing moves on this figure. I'm a little disappointed in that, because he really looked like you could pose him a little bit, but you can't. He is a solid piece the way that he's constructed. I mean, it's nice that you have him, don't get me wrong, but my assumption just from the way he looked was that, oh yeah, you can pose him, you can 5 points of articulation maybe. No, he doesn't move at all. Now we'll go ahead and pull Hordak off and test his articulation. Get him off of that ball hugger stand, and I do not like that style of stand, because 6th scale figures tend to be top heavy. They tend to be top heavy, and they topple over those stands. So much so, in fact, that some of my 6th scale Mondo figures I've gotten rid of that stand completely and put a traditional doll stand that holds them around the waist just to keep them upright because they kept falling over. So let's go ahead and start looking at articulation. I'm willing to bet he's going to be rather stiff in comparison to some of the other ones because of how much is going on here. I mean, you can already see he can't even really put his arms down. So head articulation, he can actually look around quite a bit. Up and down is not happening though, but you know, tilt is not bad, and then side to side isn't bad, but up and down just isn't there. The head actually feels a little loose, and you can sort of see that. The arm articulation is going to be about what I would expect from any of them, and that's not bad. I do notice also that there's a couple of different shades of blue here. I don't know if that's deliberate or what, but it's not bad. It gives it a little bit of detail. He does have a double jointed elbow. I can see it, but that's as far as he's going to go, and his hand came off. It looks like the elbow should be able to go further, but that's as far as you're going to get as a single bend. And you see that the gauntlet just fell off. And then I guess you can just kind of put that on there, but you're not putting a hand on the end of that. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, that wouldn't fit anyways. But if you wanted to do the gun arm thing, there you go. Otherwise, it's the gauntlet, and I may as well test a hand change out really quick here. A gripping hand I'll put on. Usually hand change outs are fairly simple with these. Although the gauntlet is so thick, it's limiting the tilt on this wrist. You know, I can barely, and it came out again, I can barely bend that wrist because of the thickness of the gauntlet and how far up it reaches. You bend his wrist, the hand just comes out. So that's a bit of a disadvantage. But what I do like though is how thick the wrist joints are, because that is a big problem with 6th scale figures, is those wrist joints just popping out. This one, not just so much popping out, but breaking off, and then you've got a damaged wrist. This one's got even less movement because of the armband. He's got an armband on. It's literally just, you could probably take this off if you want to. It feels like a rubber piece that they slid up over the bicep. Same problem here. The gauntlet makes it so that the wrist is super loose in the joint. It doesn't want to hold on. You see that? Some extra plastic left over from the molding process inside the arm joint there. Or is that the paint peeling? That might be the paint peeling in there. Look at that. The paint's coming off. Torso, there is no crunch at all. Side to side, it's there, but it looks awkward because you're left with a gap. Splits, obstructed by this piece, which I'm not sure if you can take that off or not. This is actually pretty hard. This piece is almost like a solid plastic, not like the rubbery kind that you normally would deal with. That is very stiff. You see that? You're trying to move it. I bet you if you're not careful, you could break that. No, this is not a piece you're going to be able to really pose. If you're into posing, double jointed knees, of course. But if you're into posing with these figures, that one doesn't want to bend. You're not going to get a lot out of this. Static museum pose. Yeah, the bottom half of that knee is extremely stiff, and I'm not wanting to force it too much. If you pop one of these out, you see how loose that knee is. Usually, you can pop back in but I still don't want to risk it. Yeah, this armor obstructs most of his movement. There's not going to be any calf rotation. It's turning at the knee. And ankle tilt up and down. No details on the bottom. Side to side. It's on a sort of a bevel twist. It's a weird way that it turns there. And I've seen that on some of the earlier Mondo ones. They've gone back to doing the ankles this way. Okay, so let's get him geared up and see how he looks. And here we are back with our Mondo 1/6 scale Hordak PowerCon Edition 2021 figure in a museum pose, because I really cannot do much else with him. I'm sort of disappointed in that. They're typically kind of stiff figures because of the musculature and because of how heavy they are, but you can at least get some kind of posing out of them. This one has a lot of obstructions in the costume that prevent you from posing it, and also because of the gauntlets being so pushed forward, I guess, they're like right up to the edges of the forearms. I've had trouble keeping the hands in place. When I put the implements into his hands, the hands literally fell out and the pieces fell down. So I'm actually having trouble keeping them in. I mean, the figure looks good overall, but if you're going to, say, do action figure photography, you're going to be very limited with this figure as to how you can possibly pose him. His costume obstructs most of his movement, and then he's got some oddness to the way that he's put together anyways, because I noticed also, I think that maybe his forearms might be bored a little too much, despite the fact that the gauntlet is pushing the hand out. It's still kind of loose in there too. So that could be another consideration. I think that it's a missed opportunity that the imp is not jointed. I believe they should have jointed the imp. So, I don't know. Pluses, he looks really good. And it's nice to see a Hordak. I know that they're planning on doing a She-Ra, a Battle Cat, a Trap Jaw. I've seen sketches for a Trap Jaw. So we'll see where this is going. Drawbacks, the figures are getting more expensive. The price on the Mondos, each time they come out with one, it's more expensive than last time. His costume obstructs most of his movement. So for that, I'm a little disappointed. Also, he has fewer accessories than previous Masters releases. So let's go ahead and get him in with the other Masters figures and see how he looks. And now we'll fade out of the main room into the ante-room where the majority of the modern things are. You see a lot of 12 scale and of course 6th scale items, including apparently a lot of Mondo 6th scale Masters of the Universe figures. And there is our Hordak in his new home. But as you can see, I mean, these are the original two, He-Man and Skeletor. And there's the Merman and Faker. And of course these all four are the Mondo exclusive versions. The Scareglow, Mondo Man-at-Arms, and that is the Keldor. Although I've got the skull head on him, but there's the Keldor head. And I've done reviews of all of these. And you see my point now here. I've got most of their accessories kind of just laid out with them. And he has the least amount of accessories and the least amount of mobility and flexibility of any of the figures. And he's the most expensive one. So I find that a little disappointing. I mean, when they kept upping the ante, I mean, they came out with this merman, and the heads even have like movable jaws. You see, you can articulate their mouths. All that detail, and he's flexible. And then the man-at-arms and all the detail that went into this. Even the scare glow. And this is the first edition scare glow. They have a second one. I did not get the second one. I was unable to. Sold out in like 2 minutes. So for the price, in comparison to the other ones I've reviewed, I feel like I didn't get as much. He still looks good, and I'm happy to add him to the collection, but I feel like they could have done a little more on all 3 versions of the Hordak, quite frankly. Another thing I wanted to point out is, you notice I've got the gripping hand on the staff, because the gripping hand won't hold the staff. It won't fit around the staff unless you put it around the bottom end, like down here. And of course, the bottom end keeps coming off. So unless I glue it, there's a risk that that's going to continue to separate. It keeps popping out. And the wrists also keep popping out. So what do you think? What do you think, guys? Let me know what your thoughts are about the new Mondo Hordak in the comments section down below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you agree with my points? Is that something you want or something that you've gotten? Did you get one of the other Hordaks? Tell us about it. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. I hope that you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. Check out some of the other videos. I've got a lot of unboxings, as well as toy hunts and convention tours and discussions about collecting in general and industry discussions, things like that. We do a lot on this channel, mostly nostalgic. The unboxings is the most modern thing that I do. The rest of it is for you older generations, if you will, because I am part of that. But either way, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. And if that's all, and with all that being said, what more can I say? But thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.